Well, hi there, and welcome to the Life Burst Podcast. We're a podcast where we talk about the more competitive side of Wixoss, as well as just other general Wixoss things. We're a Wixoss podcast, is what I'm trying to say. And, I'm here joined, as always, with my lovely co-host, Tiffany.
Hi, hello, welcome to yet another Life Burst, a Wecross podcast.
So, Tiffany, I'd ask you how your Wecross week is going, but I think your Wecross week is going about the same as mine, which is that we are doing an incredible amount of gauntlet testing.
Yes, we have. We have been testing, God, I don't even know. We've been playing like 2 to 3 times a day. We've been switching up all of our decks. We've been switching them around. Just really do some heavy experimentation. We also, and I feel like besides just pure curiosity and getting ready for the new set to come out, we really haven't had a chance to go to any local game nights or tournaments or anything like that. We've just really been focusing on experimenting and like prepping for the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could go a little bit more into the local scene recently, but we just haven't had the chance. But we've been making it up with a literal shit ton of testing.
Yeah, we really don't want a week to go by without us playing.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been testing too for the first time, really, I mean, we did it a little bit in 0-1, but now we're actually giving it the honest try. Is we've been doing dream teams, and that's actually going to be the topic of our podcast today. Is going to be when is it appropriate to break teams? When is it appropriate to do dream teams? And how does one go about dream team deck composition?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm so excited actually because I don't like a stagnant meta. So I think with this new set coming out and the ability to give us some new centers, now we can really start making decks that feel unique and play in a really interesting way. Also, quick side note for everybody, my throat's feeling a little dry today, so I might be drinking some water periodically throughout the podcast, and I appreciate you understanding.
This podcast is brought to you by Tiffany ASMR for water drinking ASMR.
I'm sorry.
No, actually, we are. Before we go into it, we're a little bit sponsored today. All right. We're a little bit sponsored.
Wait, we are?
We are a little bit sponsored today by Lucky Yuki. If you guys don't know, you guys are, by the way, I want to say, shout out, even before we talk about Lucky Yuki's custom cards here, which are worth talking about. Mm-hmm. The community that you guys have started to build are fantastic. I mean, it is outstanding to see a bunch of people coming in and learning the English game. But, look, I made a mistake on my most recent video. And I just made an assumption and it was completely wrong because my magic brain was somewhere. and then like within 5 minutes of me uploading the video, people were like, whoa, this is a mistake. You might need to do a re-recording. Like no one was mean either, which was great. And like getting the outpouring of comments on the last video was really, really nice to see. Like it's really cool. I just want to take a moment and say it's really cool to see that the community coming together here and discussing things with us live on air and giving me new ideas and stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is awesome to kind of have that sort of conversation with you guys. So this podcast is mainly brought by listeners like you. So thank you.
Yeah, and so that was to go into the Lucky Yuki card custom cards.
Let's talk about
this.
Because
that is actually a sign of a thriving community. Is that there's now a custom card maker in the community, and we received one of their recent promos, one of the ones that they're making for this month, right? It's Newborn Tamago, and it's pretty. I mean, it's like really pretty fantastic, cute. But it's also really pretty.
It's really cute. That is some dang good art.
Yeah, and to get the bits and bolts out of the way. Lucky Yuki is, I think, running a Patreon, and if you join the Patreon, then you can get access to monthly, and there's different tiers on that Patreon to get different levels of rarity for those cards. But you can get different, you can get level zeros, and they're custom level zeros that Lucky Yuki does every month, and she makes these really cool art. Like, and the back is also kind of blown. I thought it was just going to be a cool front, but the back blew me away here.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second.
And but I'll let Tiffany, the actual professional artist, discuss. Yeah, you are. I mean, that's the truth. So. You are.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I'm not like a illustrator or anything, but you know, I do have a bachelor's of fine arts degree, and I do work in the creative field for my full-time job. And I have to say that this art is super, super cute. I really like how this artist handles the shading and the highlights, and I think that they really captured Dr. Tamago's like personality.
What, being a little rat?
Yeah, being a little rat. Even though she's got like a PhD or like whatever, I don't know. So they made a newborn Dr. Tamago. It's a level 0 Larig. It's signed by Lucky Yuki. Like I think it's their like unique signature.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it? Mm-hmm. Instead of being like the Dr. Tamago signature, you get the illustrator signature on it, which is honestly a really nice like touch. And then the back is super fun. So the back is not the like white typical Larig Wixoss back. It is a custom back. It says Lucky Customs, and then as many of you know, there's like a poem on the back of the Wixoss cards. So Lucky made their own, and it says, a girl played for a TCG with cute anime girls, and Destiny, also known as TT, fulfilled that wish. Furthermore, the community allowed her to create and share custom cards of said girls. Now, shall we wish for this to continue for a long time?
Yeah, and you know that I'm sold on the front because I'm a Dr. Tamago stan, Iggy Sensei for life. But the back really actually sold it for me because I was like, it brought the whole composition.
It's such
together.
A great touch, you know. This is just like a really fun, like little custom piece to have. I honestly can't wait until they come out with more stuff.
Yeah, and
I'm very excited.
You know, Yuki sent two things. One, she sent a letter that was actually in Spanish saying, you know, good job on basically it said thank you and congratulations on supporting a bunch of different communities, and one of the communities being the Spanish-speaking community, which is actually pretty much there is a Spanish-speaking community building in Wixoss right now. Actually, I think it's something like 15 to 20% of our listeners actually do speak Spanish as one of their primary languages.
Welcome.
Which is crazy. It's super cool to see that only about 65% of our viewers are in America.
The English-speaking community?
No, just in America. Like we have people in England, we have people in Australia. Crazy. So yeah, that was one of them. And then the second one was she sent two of these promos, one for me and one for Tiffany, and then also said, you know, like, even though I know Tiffany prefers aggro decks, so she probably won't use this one. And let me just say,
I appreciate it. Like, one of the things the thing that drew me to this game was the art. So I do appreciate like excellent card art.
Right. Let me just say, Yuki, we are currently using both in our testing because we actually, to get back onto the topic at hand, are testing Bang as a dream team and Bang as a not dream team, as an Uchu no Hajimari team. And so we actually needed 2 level 0 Tamagos.
You know, just to fill out like our gauntlet and everything.
to do the gauntlet. So it actually, we're using both perfectly fine, and they're great.
Now,
also, I should note that you guys, if you do want to get these promos, you can use them in the game as level 0s, because what you use as your level 0 is actually been widely in Japan. It's been widely allowed for different other types of representation. So I would check with your card store first, and I would probably keep an official level 0 on hand too if anyone had a problem, but it doesn't seem like anyone in America has had a problem with anyone having any type of level 0.
So could I just have like a level 0 like Uno card?
I think you might need to write the name of the person on the Uno card at least.
Okay.
And I think it also probably needs to be flat so you can play cards on it. So I probably wouldn't use a soda can. But
Like a Coke Zero.
I'm just saying, if you don't push it too much, I think you should be fine. If they stop allowing, promo or fan art level zeros because you used a Coke can, then you're the problem, not the promo.
Maybe don't be that player, guys. But if you guys are interested in checking out these customs or just supporting an artist, links in the description. Thanks, Lucky.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about our main topic here, which is dream teams, right? And we're using the actual Japanese term here for what we should be calling team breaks. Originally, we were calling them breaking team, which I still think is fine if you want to say breaking team as a
verb.
Yeah, as a verb instead of the noun, which is dream team, because it would be tough to be like, I'm dreaming a team.
Well, that's kind of cute, isn't it?
We're dreaming a team.
I'm dreaming up a team.
and that is to say that you're breaking. So you're making a Hirana deck with like Towel as an assist as well, or you're making a Bang Center L rig, but you're also using Umir or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Shout outs to the guy in the comments who turned me on to Umir to pair with Bang. It works really well.
Yeah, it does. And let's get into that actually. So let's start with our experimentations with Bang as a center. How have you been feeling about this deck? How did you build it? What does it feel like?
So we're talking about specifically how we've been developing Bang as a center for this one. So what's interesting is I have seen online a lot of Japanese lists with Bang as a center that you used Uchu, but I also saw a fair amount, like an equal amount, 50% almost, that just were like team break. And it was one of the first times in the early meta that there started being experimentation on dream teams. And so I thought, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And it seemed like overwhelmingly they had different assists, but overwhelmingly it seemed to be pairing green with red because green naturally does work well with red, right? The idea being that red handles early game lane opening very well, and green handles late game lane opening well with Lancer and the like destroy or vanish 8,000 or more effects and stuff like that.
Yeah, the coverage of 8,000 or more, 8,000 or less is really nice. That's covers almost 100%. Like I'm just using 8,000 as like a example number, but there's multiple texts across red and green that say 8,000 or less, 8,000 or more, whatever. So you really do get very good removal coverage with a red-green deck.
And I will say right now, with the start of building a dream team, you need to be thinking, I need to have reasons to break my team, right? Because there's the team options, your team piece, your team signies, right, are all so powerful that they make up for the fact that you can't choose who the assists are or things like that. But when you look at Bang, you have those options, and the reason being that Nova level 1s get they dig for white or blue cards, and in this deck you want to dig for green, so that's a miss. Or the other level 1 is okay, but it's not great. It's the ability to basically stop an attacker at the cost of a couple resources, and it's okay. I mean, Bang, you have enough Enercharge that you could probably say that's fine, but it's not good. And then you look at the team Signy, and Fenrir, which is fantastic, is a level 3 blue Signy, and Bang specifically wants level 3 green Signies. So you're not really running that either. And then you look at the team piece and you say, oh, it makes the opponent discard 3. All right, and you go, well, Bang promotes like this Lancer thing where it wants to be smashing in probably with big stuff a lot. And does that really promote the game plan of strangling resources and which which discard supports?
Yeah,
the answer is no, not really.
It all kind of goes back to, the podcast we did a while ago about how to build your deck and like kind of where to start with that. And you always want to start with your center Larig and focus down on what it is that they're trying to do, and then creating a deck that kind of supports that. So just playing against Bang as a center has been really interesting. It's been kind of like it's been like a big Signy deck. So in the early game, I find that I struggle a little bit getting those like level 1s to level 2s. But if you just like slap down what you can, and survive until your like turn 3s, you're gonna get a very powerful deck in your turn 4s.
Right, and so the deck tech for Bang will come out soon. I'll go into more specific details there, but bear in mind that the Bang coloring is blue, red, and green, right? Because Bang is green.
So what would you pair with a center Bang? I think we've been testing a lot of DJ Lovett, but we haven't really tried out Tallwill or Harana as the assists.
I think Harana is a pretty okay, like an okay assist. It has flexibility, which is really nice if your deck needs that type of flexibility. If it does not need the flexibility, I don't think it's necessarily as strong as DJ Lovett's 2 level 1s are, and that's specifically DJ Lovett Scratch and DJ Lovett Crossfade. I think these are, and you'll see, I put in front of Tiffany and I all of the we have all of the assists that we think are pretty good right now that would be a good reason to break a team and do a dream team. And the only red one in there is DJ Lovett.
Yeah.
And that's because I think DJ Lovett's just blatantly powerful.
Yeah, I do think that as far as red assists go, DJ Lovett is probably your best bet. Even when I was playing a deck like Ancient Surprise, I wasn't particularly impressed with the Tallwill assists, and I do think that Harana is just much more powerful as a center. So, you know, as we get different centers in the set that's after the most recent set that's upcoming, that may change. And we'll update you guys when that happens. But for now, we feel like DJ Lovett as an assist is your best red option.
Right. And then the blue option has been waffling between Umir and Tamago. And again, we'll talk more in depth as to why we went with one or the other when we actually do the deck tech. But it's basically it just gives you that draw 2 at level 1, which is very necessary, and then at level 2 it saves you some life cloth damage while interacting with your opponents a little bit, and also drawing a little bit, right? It just gives you a little bit more card advantage. And green doesn't necessarily run out of its cards as quickly as red does, but green red does run the risk of running out of cards at some point.
It's also a little enter heavy too. So having those extra cards in your hand, especially going up against something like an Uchu deck that's going to make you discard a lot, is probably in your favor, just so you can keep stuff in your hand.
Right, and the fact that it's going to be these are cheap to level up, grow, and Bang wants to eat all of the under levels pretty quickly, means that you can be pretty proactive with it.
So really what you're doing when you're creating a dream team is you're choosing the center with the type of play style that you ideally want to play, and then choosing assists that give you something different than what your center is asking for, and choosing things that will help to support that gameplay, but in a different way. You don't want a team of 3 Lyrigs that all do the same thing.
Right.
Because you're not going to get a win condition out of that.
Right. And so that brings us to a good topic before we start talking about the assists themselves and which ones maybe you should think about using for dream teams. Should you go into a more monocolored route and if you decide to build a dream team?
The more I think about it, the more I just have to say no. So, I mean, just looking at what we have in front of us, we have a lot of blue, so I'll use that as an example. So you've got Dr. Tamago as the assist, which is draw 2 cards and then down target Signy. And then you've got Madoka, which is discard a card and draw 3 cards for, certain ones. And then the most popular one being Madoka Clap is also down target Signy. So you've got 2 different blue assists that do the same thing, which is no good in my opinion. And then you've got Umir Draw, which is draw 2 cards. And then the more popular is Umir Clear, which is discard your hand, redraw, and then freeze a Larig. So that might be a better thing in your deck because you're drawing, but then in your second one, you're doing something different. There is the option of Umir Down, but why would you do that when you could choose Umir Clear?
Or, sorry, you could just choose, instead, you could just choose Madoka Clap.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then that down's way better.
It does. It's a lot more modular. So, and then you've got Ray, which is the other blue assist, which is, oh, go figure, it's level 1 is draw 2 cards. And then you've got Lunar Blossom, which is also draw a card and the opponent discards a card. And then you've got Empty Blade, which is draw 2 cards and your opponent discards
as you can see, all the blue cards say the word draw on them somewhere, really.
Somewhere. Another one is Rending Blade, which is, oh, look, down up to 2 target Signy. So your most popular theme that you've got going for blue is drawing and downing. So if you have like a full set of blue, you're drawing and downing the entire game. How do you win with that?
Yeah, what are you doing with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you decide to go with mono red, and right, mono red will often give you the ability to lane open. And Tiffany, you and I say lane opening is important, right? We say it all the time.
Well, the whole goal of the game is to crush a life cloth. So how do you crush a life cloth?
Right.
By drawing cards and downing the opponent.
Right.
You're not removing anything.
Right, but if you are using your L-Rig to just constantly open up lanes, that feels like that should win you the game, right?
Well, how do you do that if you don't have any Signy support?
Right, like it's true. You're not drawing any extra cards, so you're probably running out of. You're probably running out of. You're probably running out of cards pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Mono red excels. Signy excel at removing cards. So what are they doing if you're already giving that job to your L-Rig deck?
Well, yeah.
And then like what are you just deciding that you don't need to have a defense against your opponent at all? You don't need anything like Bang to Capo, which will prevent damage, or Akino, which will
return it to their hand. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing about straight up removal. You have to understand that when you do that, when you are constantly vanishing Signies, you're just giving your opponent more options for enter. Now, downing something will starve them a little bit, but it's not going to do you any favors to punch through. You're only going to be able to really attack with your Larig.
Sure.
And that's not really doing you any favors. Like, you could be maximizing your turn so much better.
There are cards in this world that you want to have a variedied means. Even aggro wants a variedied means of removal, right? There are some cards where you look at it, for example, He, right? It's one that I always constantly talk about.
It's helium.
Helium.
It's helium.
Helium, if it vanishes outside of battle, downs your L-Rig, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? That would be really annoying for No Limit if No Limit didn't have Akino to bounce it to its hand.
Yeah.
Right? Having a variety of options is in your L-Rig deck does help you. It makes you more than a two-dimensional deck. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think going monocolored, I'm the one preaching this, but this is actually a Tiffany point.
Yeah. I really don't think it's the most beneficial way to go. So that being said, let's get into some dream teams that we've really been enjoying playtesting.
Okay, so the ones that have gone past the lens of I think this is a good deck and probably worth testing has pretty much only been Bang so far.
Yeah, I also find that one really fun to play. I have been missing like some big green energy since Ancient Surprise, so I'm really excited to see some more Bang decks.
And it's funny you say that because there has been some Ancient Surprise at decks that have done well on the tournament scene and have been kind of cool and are basically the same thing as the Bang Dream team that I've been discussing. There's actually been some interesting ones with Harana as well. And that one was a little strange. It was Harana, Umir Clear, and yeah, I know, right? Umir Clear, and I think, I'm trying to remember, it's not Akino. I think it's actually an Ange assist.
Whoa, what a blast from the past.
Right. And then, so there are some things in the early meta that kind of do it. I've also seen some Dr. Tamago ones where it's a discard focused deck, and there's a couple. It's like paired up with Madoka as far as Madoka's discard stuff goes. But other than that, there really hasn't been very much successful dream teams in set 01. 02, we will start seeing some more with Bang. Bang really does, I think, operate better as a dream team. Because also one thing is you gotta say, what am I giving up? And Bang has got the opponent sacrifices a Signy when it enters. So it's good, but it's not super powerful. So you're not giving up a ton, unlike Madoka, where you look at it and you're like, oh, I give up like literally 2 of its abilities and 2 of its main draws that make me want to play this as my center. But in the future, I do want to say that past set 4, it stops being I need a reason to make a dream team, right? And it starts being like, I need a reason to stay in the team, because power creep does kick in at that point.
Yeah.
And for the most part, after set 5 onwards, most winning decks are either, Deus Ex Machina, because that deck is broken, or
we'll get to that one when it comes out.
Or it's dream teams, and then you got the occasional smattering of teams too, like Nova shows up a bit, and Diagram shows up a bit. But realistically, later down in the meta, it becomes, what is my reason to stay in a team? And you start being like, well, this piece is the reason why I want to do it, or this Signy is the reason why I want to play this.
So you might want to stay with something like Card Jockey and just switch up who your centers are, so that you can keep a piece like Endless Punchline, which is extremely powerful and seems to continue to be.
Yeah. But let's talk about current reasons that we would want to break teams. And the current reasons I would want to break a team is there are pieces that say that have a requirement of N colored Elrig, N colored Elrig, N colored Elrig, right? So the one that I am actually using in Bang right now, and it feels like a team piece, is Ancient Echo. Because you need to have a red, a blue, and a green Elrig. And that's my main reasoning for running Bang, because it does all the things that I think a Bang team wants to do.
What does it do?
Green likes to gain power, and this gives all of your field plus 3,000, and it definitely plays with that, with Buffalo and whatnot. It also vanishes a Signy. Great, that's a lane open.
Nice
and
removal.
It draws 2 cards, so it gives you late game gas.
Those are all things that would fit very well in a red-green.
Yeah, and a lot of people who play Ancient Surprise might double take and be like, wait a second, I thought that was a team piece for Ancient Surprise. No, it's a colored requirement, which you can do with a dream team.
The same thing goes for To the Top. The only requirements for that is a red and a white Lyrig. So you can play that in a wide variety of decks. It's not specific to No Limit. So, and that's also a really good piece too. That's especially great on your turn 4, where, you might be running out of some Signies, and you can search for one, and like you can search for the specific one that you want and completely enter burn your opponent.
Yeah, and we're going to get more of those types of pieces. And once we start getting pretty good pieces that have less stringent requirements, aka team requirements, you'll find that dream teaming is more viable. There's one in the future called GGG.
GGG.
GGG. I think it stands for grow, grow, grow. But it's whenever you when it's like, I think requirement is that you have a green Elrig, and it's whenever you grow a Elrig, you then can enter charge 1. And so suddenly you're looking for things with attack phase and main phase timing, and you're willing to break teams to do that. So lastly, we have a lot of things, and we're not going to go super into depth in them. If you guys want to read up more on these specific cards, we'll mention the names.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety.
Yeah, you can pull up the card database from the EU Wixoss site and look them up. And the first one that we're talking about is Umir Draw and Umir Clear. This option is just a pretty good option as to something if you want to mess with your Elrigs pieces activations that are usually on attack, as well as just mess with your try to delay level 3 attacks from the Elrig.
Yeah, that has been really great, is just to be like, oh, I know that you grew to level 3, and most times people that grow to level 3 will play their team piece right away. But Umir Clear kind of stops that, and it also messes up their hand for their next turn.
Take that, Hirana. I don't care about your glory grow on turn 3. You better do it turn 4. You might be losing by then.
Well, it's also been powerful for decks like we played it against Diagram, and then Diagram couldn't use its team piece either.
Yeah, Ushu as well. Going right down the line in blue, we have Ray. And what does Ray seem to excel at?
Honestly, I've been really enjoying the draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards at random, because that's another way to really mess with your opponent's hand, and that's always a great option, in my opinion, because what you're doing is, as far as tempo goes, you're increasing your card advantage while decreasing their card advantage.
Absolutely. And then Madoka, basically, it's almost the entire line is just got flexibility. It's mostly good in down and dealing with things on the board, as well as some amount of draw as well. A really good draw, by the way. Drawing 3 is super strong, even though it costs 1 discard. So if you're playing a more graveyard-oriented deck that wants things in the graveyard, this is a great way to get something in there. As well as if you're looking for a more late-game deck rather than just the blues normal supply me with more cards, Madoka Clap can take you there. And that would be Madoka Float and Madoka Clap, I think, are the best. But there's also Madoka Slide and Madoka Dub, I think, are good.
Yeah, it really just depends on if you want to go a little bit more field control, or if you'd like to filter your hand to set up for something like Madoka Clap, when it's a little bit more modular.
And so what's our last blue?
The last blue that we've got is Tamago double... What does it say? Sorry. Oh, Double Stroke Roll. Sorry, I couldn't read it. Which is a very simple draw 2 cards, and then growing into the level 2 Tamago Jet Stick.
Which basically also draws 2 cards and downs
a Signy, which is really cheap. It's got a grow cost of 0, and then you just pay 1 extra to draw 2 cards, which it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So you've got a nice sort of setup with this. I just wouldn't use more than 1 blue.
Yeah, blue. Adding one of these blue assists basically says that you have defensive capabilities and drawing capabilities. That's basically what all of these blue more or less says. So if you're going to break teams and do a dream team, and you want to add more defensive nature to it or more card advantage to it, blue is a great way to go about it. Going into our next popular one, which is white. I'll take the Ange. So Ange is an interesting one, right? A lot of people I don't think would expect it. Ange has got a level 1. They're literally called Ange level 1 and level 2, so they're very not descriptive names.
Yeah, which is really confusing when.
So I will read this one out.
Multiple
yeah,
ones.
It's level 1. Enter return target level 2 or less Signy from your opponent's field to their hand, and then the other assist, which is attack phase timing. Grow cost is 2. Enter target Signy, return target Signy to its owner's hand, and then it has the enter cost of black. Return target black Signy from the trash to your hand. So Ange is kind of interesting in the fact that it's actually kind of a multicolored card. So if you want to support more black recursion, this is a great way to do it in White's offensive defensive way, where they can get rid of things so that you've got lane opening, but are also saving you from taking life cloth damage. While simultaneously you can spend black enter to get back a black card.
Yeah, which is great because we always recommend having, either like a 3-color deck or a 2-color deck with just, no support for the other color and just being, that Lurig that helps you get that extra step. So going into Akino, we've got Akino Rock, which is return level 2 or less Signy on your opponent's field to the owner's hand. This is already great, especially in the early game. If you go second, you can have 2 lanes open on your opponent's side and then swing through with most likely 2 to 3 life crushes. And then we've got Akino Bye Bye, which is return target Signy to your opponent's hand. Return target Signy on your opponent's field to the owner's hand. And then an additional 1 white, 1 anything, add target Signy with a guard from your trash to your hand. Which is great because this has attack phase timing, and if you don't have a guard in your hand and you can pay for it, you can prevent that Larig damage. It also is great when you're trying to do a little bit of enter starving on your opponent, because instead of your removal going to their enter zone or going into their trash if they're a black deck, you're just returning it to their hand. Like if there's something that you just don't want to deal with right now, you can just be like, nope, back in your hand, no enter for you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and so then we've got MC Lion's line, which will be coming out in this next set. We've got MC Lion Stand Up, which it's got a bunch of text. Realistically, it basically just translates into your Signy gets Lancer for a turn. It more or less basically says when you vanish a Signy, you get to crush a Life Cloth. Then you've got MC Lion Dig, which it's probably better. MC Lion Dig has a lot of text on it because, again, white has a lot of text on it usually.
It does.
And it more or less says, look at the top 5, put 2 Signy into your hand, which is great. I mean, that's a thing that you generally want to see in most of your level 1s.
Yeah, really good deck cycling and really good hand fixing for white.
Yeah, and then MC Lion Disrespect, is basically just a slightly better Madoka Clap. It basically has 3 different enter abilities at a modular costs that allow you to make an a Signy not able to attack. Which
hurts real bad if you run up against Bang and gave something Lancer.
So MC Lion can give you white defensive capabilities, or it can give you some aggressive abilities too. So if in case you're being like either one of those like slightly bigger white aggressive decks, or you want to be more of a white wall deck, it can excel at both of those things.
That's actually one of the reasons why I would make a dream team, is to switch up my playstyle a little bit. In the previous set, 01, you kind of only had 3 to 4 options of playstyle. You would go full aggro, or a little bit of a mid-range with MC Lion, or playing more of a long game with Uchu, and a little bit of mid-range good stuff with Diagram. So if you kind of want to switch up your play style, for instance, if you have Akino as the center, it is a aggro deck, but it's a little slower, and it's much more wall-centric. So if you really like putting up walls and then blasting through with your opponent, and you're okay with going a little bit slower than the typical Harana deck, then this might be a little bit more of a comfortable playstyle for you. Or if you like some big Signy action, then Bang might be a good playstyle for you. So that's one of the reasons why I would create a dream team.
Yeah, totally. You want to take the red one, I guess we already talked about the red one. MC Lovett. That's going to be Scratch.
Lovett, yeah.
DJ Lovett. It's going to be Scratch and Crossfade. Just very good options in to get some more aggressive support, especially some end of game reach too.
And like DJ Lovett paired with a green Signy, or paired with a green Larig, or paired with a blue Larig, it can give you a little bit more enter to give that full enter effect of not only some nice solid removal, especially in the late game, but also crushing a life cloth that your opponent can't do anything about. It feels good.
Yeah. And the last one is going to be Bang's line. That's Bang Crescendo and Bang Decapo. One enter charges you, the other one prevents damage.
Yeah, and the first one enter charges 2, which is especially great. So you're just setting up that enter support early in the game. And then, of course, having a heavy defense like Decapo, especially late in the game, that just can prevent 2 damage, is awesome.
So if you're looking to add green to your deck in a more defensive support mode, Bang Decapo is a really great way to do it. You might, and that's, I want to also stress here, you don't necessarily need to add quote unquote green to your deck. I mean, yes, Bang de Capo's got a green cost, and you should be considering that when you are looking at your assists that you're putting in. Is, do they have any green costs? Do they have any white costs? Like, do I need to enable these, right? And some of the better ones you don't need to enable, like for example, Umir Clear or Tamago does not have any blue costs in them whatsoever. Neither does Ray. Which is great because that means that you can actually run blue in your deck without actually needing to run blue in your deck. So while we said you shouldn't run a mono team specifically in your L rig, you can still run a monocolored deck if that's rewarding, right? Like right now, Hirana is a red monocolored deck, and No Limit is a monocolored reg deck, even though it's running a white assist and a blue assist, but neither of them have white or blue costs, so you can get away with doing that.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that earlier, but I did not explain that quite as well as you did.
so you can still run a monocolored deck, although arguably later down the line, I will say there's less reasons to run a monocolored deck just because the sheer power of certain cards go up. So
variety is the spice of Wixoss.
Even the quote unquote mono red deck wins. Ducks decks in the Japanese meta in the future run black Signies because there's some black Signies that are just good and you should run them.
Yeah. So I think is that everything?
Well, let's talk about there is a weird distribution here. If you look at it, there's how many white assists did we pick out?
We picked out 3 white assists, 4 blue assists, and 1 red and 1 green.
And how many black?
0.
Exactly.
Why is that?
That happens to be because currently I think these assists are the most flexible and most good to add to as a support to your deck. There really isn't any. Well, first off, there's only Toko for black assists go. Currently, but then there will be Musica. And Musica is okay. It's okay. I mean, like, I think we're running the best versions of it in Diagram, and even you see that Musica costs a lot of Ener.
It does, and I also don't see it adding much with the once a game ability with Madoka. Like, I just really don't see a very good reason to repeat your level 1 Musica when you could be repeating it with Sangha.
Yeah, you basically do it with Sangha pretty much every time. And that just goes to show that the Madoka's power comes from Madoka itself, not necessarily Musica. Musica's an okay support there.
She don't need no team.
Yeah, but what she does, that's the funny thing, is that her stuff is all team oriented. So you have to run it. But you're like, that's fine. It does the job, but it never does the job amazingly well, right? And then as far as red goes, like arguably Hirana could have been on here for its sheer flexibility, and I think we thought about it and then just decided to cut it off.
Yeah, I just think that Lovett's a better option. I think
it's a more powerful option in the vacuum, and it also just has to do with like, all right, so this game, right? You want card advantage. You don't want a ton of it because you draw 2 a turn. But you do want some amount of it to get your correct answers, to make sure you're hitting your level 1 Signies on turn 1, your level 3s, your powerful level 3s that's driving your game plan on turn 3, right? And
especially if you're running a good stuff deck.
Yeah.
You want those kind of options to maximize your hand at every turn.
And blue does that pretty much with every assist, with also the strength of having a slightly different take on it, which might fit your deck better. So there's more options there. As far as white goes, all of these white assists are powerful. They're just strong.
I didn't even think of Ange until you put it in front of me today, but you know what? You're not wrong. I guess I just don't think about like 0/0 sets very much. But when we brought back Ange, and especially when we brought back Umar, that really adds a very nice touch because the level 0/0 Larigs they feel a little odd, but they can really add something very special to your Larig lineup.
Yeah, and so white is just a powerful color in Wixoss right now, anyways. I wouldn't say blue is the most powerful because blue really fails on the Signy level, but the assists are great.
Yeah,
and
you're not wrong.
And then as far as green goes, green is sort of the flip end of green or of white right now. It's just from my understanding, they're overcorrecting from when green was this like just absurd
in past formats before Diva. Yeah.
So access to enter charge is just hard to get a hold of. Like green's attacking abilities are actually pretty hard to get a hold of. You know, I can't believe this, but I found out that Lancer was color shifted from white to green in Diva. It's mostly was a white ability before because white didn't have enough already.
Yeah, they are overcorrecting a little bit, but you know, green will get a little bit better support in later sets.
Yeah,
but for now, have fun with your whites. You know, I love MC Lion as a center. I love it. So
as an assist, honestly,
it slaps as an assist.
It's sort of better as an assist.
Oh my god, hot take.
Well, I mean, that just means MC Lion is just spitting hot fire everywhere she goes.
MC Lion disrespect.
Yeah.
Solid lineup.
Yeah. So, guys, I would love to know what dream teams you guys are working on right now.
Yes, please let us know. I would love to playtest ones that we haven't even thought of. Because, you know, like I said, the variety is the spice of Wixoss, and I'm so excited for this meta to get so much more interesting. All right. Leave it in the comment section down below.
Yeah. And as always, guys, we hope you flip a life burst.
Yeah, make it a good one. Banish those target signies. Banish those up signies.
Yeah, may all your signies, may all your opponent's signies be up.
may all your life cloth have life bursts. We'll see you guys on the next video.
Bye.
Bye.